Everybody, peace. I hope and pray that you are all doing well today. And today we're going to be talking about a slow rise.
From beautiful seas to flourishing legacies.
If you've heard the story of the turtle and the hare. In this story, there is a race that is happening between a hare and a turtle. And the hare is very confident. They are extremely fast. They are well known for being great winners, I'm sure. They're very, very boisterous as well. And they know that they're good at running. They know that they're very fast. So the turtle is much more quiet. Doesn't really talk much. I think it's the tortoise actually. Yeah, the tortoise and the hare. But the tortoise is extremely quiet, very, very slow, just plodding along, not really saying much, has a shell on top of them, extremely just kind of like doesn't really interact, I'm sure, with anyone and just kind of plodding along and going. So in the story, the hare is way ahead of the tortoise, and the hare decides, okay, looks like, I'm gonna win anyway, so I might as well just rest and lean on this tree and just go to sleep. The hare sleeps, and he sleeps for a really long time, and then he wakes up and he realizes, oh no, I'm in a race, right? So he's very confident and a little arrogant, right? Really, it's arrogance. So anyway, he's wakes up and he's in a little bit of a jam. He's like, oh no. So he runs for the end line, and he realizes that the tortoise has already reached it, and the tortoise has won the race. And I don't know, this is the Aesop's fable, and the lesson at the end of it, as with any lesson, all the stories in the book of Aesop's fables, they all have a lesson at the end of them. The lesson at the end of this one is slow and steady finishes the race. And it's true, and it's true, and it's true, and that is what I'm going to be talking about today. So there is a kind of personality type, and is the kind of personality, some might call it an introvert, other people might call them highly sensitive people, people whose nervous systems are wired a little bit differently. And this can be a person who is an introvert or an extrovert. It really, really depends on the way that you're stimulated. Please do find out more information about what a HSP is, but basically it's a person whose nervous system is wired very differently. And before I continue, I just want to say that this isn't just for a person who has this kind of nervous system. It is really for anyone who is trying to achieve something and trying to grow and trying to be the best version of yourself. But this specific kind of personality is like the fable, a kind of nice premise to kind of begin with, because for a lot of people who are HSP, who are highly sensitive people, it can be extremely difficult to do things that might seem so simple to other people. And there are a few reasons for this. One of the reasons is because they genuinely have very little capacity for stimulation that is coming from the outside, things which are very sensory, things like bright lights, things like loud noises. They just feel extremely very difficult for the person who has a sensitive nervous system, right? And another thing which another reason why it is harder for us to do things sometimes, I am also a HSP, is because the things that we value are very different to the things that other people might value. And an example of those things is you might be more interested in a work of art, right? Whereas another person might be more interested in making money. Someone might be interested, HSP might be interested in nature walks. Another person might be interested in the hustle bustle of the city life and always being on the go, right? And these can be interchangeable as well. One person could be interested in one thing, another person could be interested in something else. It really depends on what you're into. But the point is that there is this culture that we live in, and it is, you know what it is, it's the hustle culture. Everyone talks about it. It's always on the go, getting things done, achieving, and just doing. It's a very masculine vibe. It's just a masculine energy. It's left-brained, which is masculine energy, and it can be extremely exhausting. And a lot of women are falling into this hustle culture because they feel that it's time to step up as women. We are embracing our roles as women in society. Now, everyone to their own, honestly, everyone to their own. But one thing in the midst of the hustle culture, which is being completely not really paid attention to and really just kind of understated in general, is going slow, right? The slow rise. And sometimes, especially if you're an introvert or HSP, if you are a kind of person who wants to grow, a lot of the time people are not going to see you grow. And there's this beautiful talk that I listened to, and it was a concept of being in darkness, right? And it is a concept of being in the dark and working in the dark, away from the light of everyone seeing what you're doing. And a lot of the time people, when it's called the slow rise, it is a lot of the work that is done for INFJs, for HSPs, for introverts, and it's done under silence, is done in silence. And I know that there's this hashtag or videos going around, and they're talking about working in silence and how it really like spins people on their feet when they see the amount of things that we achieved because we worked in silence and we got this and we got that. But a lot of the time, it isn't about that at all, especially if you're a person whose nervous system and whose personality is more aligned with being more slower in doing things, a slow rise. And there is a time to be slow and there's a time to be fast. In fact, I was just talking to my daughter about this, and she said, I'm so slow. And I said to her, the same thing. There's a time to be slow and there's a time to be fast. And it really depends on many things. It depends, if you're a woman, on your cycle. Sometimes we're in a time of our cycle where it's natural, it is nature to just relax and just reflect and research. Reflect, relax, and research. Reflect, relax, and research, 3 R's, right? And that's the time of our month, if you know what I'm saying. Then there's a time just after that, which is where we are more creative, we are more on the go. Our hormones are just much more aggressive, as you could say. The word for it is aggressive. There's more testosterone, there's more things which push us to keep being even more assertive, right? And that's a time to go fast. That's a time to use your energy to go fast. And again, it just really depends. So there are so many factors when it comes to working, and when it comes to slow working. And I just really wanted to speak to the slow rise because it's something that I just don't feel is spoken about enough. Now, one aspect of this is with my own personal story of a driving test. So I'm 35 years old now. I had to remember that I was 34 not long ago, and I'm 35 years old, and I just got my driving license. And I remember telling people, and people just telling me, you don't have your driving license? My niece is this many years old, and she's got her driving license. I think she's like 17 years old. And I'm like, oh, good for her. Because it's just something that personally, I didn't feel any kind of way about that. I genuinely just didn't see the value in having a driving license in New York, right? It just wasn't on my radar. It wasn't important to me until I had a choice that I had to make, where either my daughters would be in school very late and I would not see them for very long because I had to rely on someone else picking them up, my husband bringing them home, or I learn how to drive and I go pick them up myself. And then it became something that was a part of my values. Then it became something like, okay, now I want to do this. And then, thank God, alhamdulillah, all praise to God, I got my driving license and I'm able to do that. I have the freedom to do that. But this isn't the question of saying, oh, get your driving license and do what everyone else is saying. The point is that sometimes we have values which are different to what other people in the norm might see as being important or being significant or being essential even, right? You should have a driving license. Everyone has a driving license. If you don't have a driving license, then you are way behind. Whereas for me, it's like, actually, I like to walk. And I like to take public transport when I need to, which completely goes against the HSP, right? But you can be very in your own world and be around people as well as you probably already know. And I get to where I need to when I need to, and I like to keep it as minimal as possible in doing really what I value in my life. And at that point that I got my driving license, I decided that I valued the relationship with my children and the relationship with being able to connect with them and pick them up at a time which was way early and bring them home. I valued that. So with that, I value the driving license. So question is like, was that something that I regret? Do I regret not doing this way earlier, being much faster in achieving this goal and doing it at the timeline that everyone else has done it in my teens? And by the way, when I was a teenager, I did have my driving license when I was in England, but I never drove my car. I even bought a car, I never drove my car. I just love to walk. I just love taking, like I said, public transport and just being, I just felt more free. But now I'm able to drive. I actually feel more free now. So it really depends on what you value, what time is in your life, and sometimes that what you value is seeing important is doing at that time. It might be finishing a novel, it might be creating a business, it might be learning how to cook for the first time, it might be learning how to clean for the first time, it might be a certain exercise that you're creating, but you didn't see value in it before, whereas everyone else saw it as just being an adult, right? But then at the time that you learnt it, you've been learning it and you've been slowly going into it and you've been achieving your goals, other goals, and you've been doing it slowly, and it doesn't matter for other people. And even when you do these things, which everyone is talking about, it's not like, oh, well done. It's more of about time, right? So that is why it is so important for those of you who like to work slow, who like to take your time, who like to live inspired, right? To honor yourself and accept yourself for where you are and who you are and what you need at this time. And that isn't always getting a driving license when you're 17 years old like everyone else is doing. That doesn't always mean finishing school at the same time everyone else finishes it. It doesn't mean having children the same time as everyone has children. It doesn't mean getting married at the same time everyone gets married. It doesn't mean wearing the same clothes as everyone, because you are unique, and that is what makes you you. And that is what makes you perfectly you, right? Or acceptably you, because you have to accept yourself. So anyway, I hope this video serves to inspire for those of you who are slow risers, and I hope you have a blessed day. Just wanted to let you know I do have a free downloadable for you. It is a chapter from my book, The Woke Writer, and it's all about letting go, and it's very relevant to this. It's all about surrender, and this whole book is about inspiration. I also have a 14 lesson course which is all about inspiration, which you might enjoy. Thank you for being here with me today. Everyone have a beautiful and peaceful day. Peace.